Yesterday we did our pre-reading strategies on our article, The Scoop on Dino Poop. Okay? Remember we went back and we looked at all the pictures, we circled the title, we made sure there weren't any subtitles. We really analyzed the story. Now today we're going to go farther with this. We're going to go into our reading strategies, our during the reading strategies, okay? Before we do that, let's review what our prediction was of the main idea of this after we analyzed it. What was our prediction here? Someone tell me what our prediction was for this, Arthur?
Scientists discovered dino poop and gather information about it.
Good. So we think it's going to be about scientists discovering dino poop and gathering information about that gross excrement. Okay, good. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the reading strategies while you are reading anything. Okay, and the first thing, what was our first reading strategy of pre-reading? What did you do? The very first thing you do is what? Remind yourself to what, Marianne? Think, think, think. It's the same with during the reading. You always need to think, okay? So I'm going to be thinking the whole time through this, okay? The next thing that we're going to need to do is we are going to have to remember, did we say this is nonfiction or fiction?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction. How do we know? Carla?
Because they're real poop and they're real dinosaurs.
There are real pictures of poop, real dinosaurs. Yep, what else?
Because they're not, there's the pictures are not like colored.
The pictures are not cartoons. These are real pictures of dinosaur poop. Pretty gross. Okay, so since we said it was a non-fiction article, we're always going to pay close attention to this first paragraph, okay? So we're going to try to circle that first paragraph because a lot of times in a non-fiction article, the first paragraph will give us the main idea, okay? So that's going to be a big strategy for us, especially on a non-fiction article, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is reading the article because we've done so much with it already. We've studied, we've analyzed it, but we haven't actually read the first word, which is what's, right? So we're going to go in here, we're going to read this, but we're going to read this 3 times. But are you going to read it 3 times to make me happy?
No.
You're not doing strategies for me, you're doing them for you. So let me tell you why you're going to read this 3 times. The first time you read this article, this goes for any article you read, a tax test, anything you read 3 times, it's going to be, anytime you read like this, 3 times. The first time you read it, it's going to become familiar with the article, okay? So right now we have an idea, but we're going to read it again just to be comfortable with it. Kind of meet. It's like when you meet someone for the first time, you shake their hand, you say hello, it's nice to meet you. You're kind of shaking the article's hand right now. You're kind of saying, it's nice to meet you, article. My name is Marco. I'm gonna get to know you today, okay? The second time you read it, it's for strategies purposes, okay? Just like we did with the circling the title, we're gonna circle the title, or I'm sorry, we're gonna, not the title, the first paragraph. We're gonna go back and we're gonna circle the first paragraph. I'm gonna really read into it, okay? The third time is for analysis. Why is this important to us? How can this affect me? Have I seen anything like this before using my background knowledge? Remember we talked about that a lot. Background knowledge, that's a big thing. We're going to make some inferences, meaning we're going to use context clues and we're going to make conclusions about what can we learn from this? It's kind of like the conclusion in your writing. What did you learn from this? Okay. So that's the 3 times. You're going to read it 3 times. Okay. And during this, we're going to stop and think always. So let me start reading this to you. And I'm not going to read it 3 times in front of you because we don't have time for that. But I am going to read it once, and I'm going to try to use all 3. I'm going to try to become familiar with it. I'm going to read it, then I'm going to do strategies, and I'm going to read it to analyze. I'm going to stop and think. Okay? So read along with me, please, as I read aloud. What's as big as a loaf of bread, weighs as much as a frozen turkey, and tells us what dinosaurs ate? My guess is it's going to be dinosaur poop, right? It's important to stop and think. I'm going to stop and think aloud, but you should always stop and think in your head. That way you're really connecting with the article. Give up? It's petrified dinosaur poop, also known as coprolite. The scoop on dino poop is finally flushed out. Okay. Now we've got a word that's darkened, that's a bold word. So This is a strategy. You are going to see words that are vocabulary words that are either darkened, they're bolded, they're underlined. Your job is to do this. We are going to underline that word. That's the first thing we do, is underline that vocabulary word. Okay? Our next step is to underline, now this is important, because this is where context clues come from, and we're going to discuss that in just a moment. You're going to underline the sentence before, the sentence after, and the sentence that contain the word. So that's 3 sentences in all. So let's start here. The sentence before, it would be give up, right? Because there's that question mark tells us that's the end of the sentence. The one that contains it, it's petrified dinosaur poop, also known as coprolite. And then the one after, the scoop on dinosaur poop is finally flushed out. So we have underlined our 3 sentences. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to reread this part and see if I can just make a guess, a prediction of what coprolite would mean. I'm not just going to underline it, I'm going to analyze it, right? Always analyzing everything. We've got to make sure that we're thinking while we read. So, give up, it's petrified dinosaur poop, also known as coprolite. The scoop on dino poop is finally flushed out. I think it tells me what coprolite is right there, doesn't it? If I read the sentence that contains coprolite, it's petrified dinosaur poop, also known as coprolite. So coprolite is what? Petrified dinosaur poop, right? So I'm going to write that out here in the margins. Petrified dino poop. Pretty gross, huh? I guess it's better than non-petrified poop, right? 'Cause that's just squishy and gross.
Ew.
You touch it, Mr. Rossi? What do you do? Throw up?
I do something. I don't know. I wouldn't want to mess with that.
And they told you, I give you $100 for touching.
I don't think I would do it. Who knows though? Maybe $100 is a lot of money. Okay, we got to move on. I just want you to know that when you see a vocabulary word, that's what you do. You underline it, and then you really pay attention to the words around it. My context clue here, which means something that kind of helps you find the answer, is right there in the sentence. A petrified dinosaur poop, also known as a coprolite. It tells me what it is right there, okay? Let's move on to the next paragraph. Remember, how do we know when a new paragraph starts? What's the word that kind of helps us out with that, Melanie? Indentation. Very good. Is when we move it over. You can see a really good example of that right here in paragraph 3 where it says, by studying coprolites. There's a little space. That is called an indentation. That is where we know that paragraph 3 starts. We're going to go back to paragraph 2. Coprolites don't smell like poop after millions of years. Thank God. That would be gross. Because they've turned to stone. Their shape varies from small pellets to long logs. From curly spirals to flat pancakes. They also vary in color. Interesting, right? Still gross though, right? Still gross. We're describing dinosaur poop in that paragraph. Okay, that's pretty much the main idea of the whole paragraph. Paragraph 3. By studying coprolites, scientists have discovered what dinosaurs ate. Carnivorous, meat-eating dinosaurs. Coprolites contain bone fragments, teeth, fish scales, or snail shells. Herbivorous, plant-eating dinosaurs, coprolites, contain shredded wood, stems, leaves, flowers, or seeds. I want to stop here, and I thought of a couple things first of all. Why would a carnivorous dinosaur have bone fragments, teeth, fish scales, and snail shells inside of his dinosaur poop? Alejandro?
Because the dinosaur he ate, when it was alive, he ate that.
Okay.
And so
because a carnivorous dinosaur eats what?
Meat.
Meat, right?
And
Good.
so when he eats it and he poops it out.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, but when I eat meat, I cut it off the bone. If I have a big chicken in front of me, I peel the chicken off. So why wouldn't you find that kind of stuff in my poop per se, Carla?
Because our teeth, they could break or something.
Yeah, I don't want to eat a bone, first of all, because that would hurt me in my teeth and on my insides. But am I a little bit less savage than a dinosaur? I mean, do I cut my steak with a knife and a fork?
No.
Yeah, I sure do. So that's something to think about here. These dinosaurs didn't really take the time to peel the meat off of the bone. They just ate the whole thing, right? They weren't concerned about, is this steak well done? Is it medium rare? What? No, they just ate the meat, right? They just wanted that meat and they went after it. Which means carnivorous dinosaurs, what? Do you think they were aggressive or do you think they were laid back and passive?
Aggressive.
Very aggressive animals, okay? Now let's go to the herbivorous. What kind of stuff do I find in their poop there, Gracia?
You find shredded wood, steamed sweets, flowers, or soup.
And again, I'm not eating a piece of wood, am I?
No.
If I eat something that comes off of a tree, like maybe an orange, right? Oranges come from trees. You're going to find citrus inside of me. You would not find the tree that held the orange, right?
No.
So again, can we say that herbivores were aggressive? Carla?
No, because they just eat they don't eat meat. They eat plants.
Right.
Yeah.
They weren't as aggressive, right? But they still didn't have the eating habits that we do, right? I don't think you're going to see a brontosaurus, remember with the long neck,
Yeah.
going up there with a fork and a knife and a little bib around his neck, or that'd be a big bib, right? To cover himself. No, that's not it. So as I'm thinking about this, not only have I found out what they eat, but I also kind of found out a little bit more about what kind of dinosaurs they were. The carnivorous ones were very aggressive, but the herbivorous ones, not so much. Yes?
What is it called? The branch? What's it called? Dinosaur with the long neck?
Brontosaurus?
Brontosaurus. What is it called? That brontosaurus.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
So people usually name them when they describe them because they have something to do with.
I completely agree. What we can do, though, is look that up. I think we should. I think that's a good side project for us.
Yay.
2 quick questions, then we need to move on. Carla?
Herbivorous. What is it called? Herbivorous. It doesn't mean almost like weird or something.
Well, it has herbivore, right? But even before herbivore, we have herb, or herb, which is kind of like a plant. Okay? One more, Maria, and then we need to move on.
Were the pteranodons, were dinosaurs or birds?
Pterodactyls?
Pteranodons.
Oh, let's see. Something I don't know. I always thought they were pterodactyls. Probably dinosaurs. I'm guessing they're dinosaurs. Okay, so as we move, excuse me, we're now starting to find out a little bit about, more about the main idea. So far we know that we're starting to describe dinosaur poop and what kind of stuff was in it. Let's go back up to our main idea real fast and see if this has anything to do with that. Scientists discovered dino poop and gather information about it. Are we still on track with our main idea?
Yes.
Absolutely we are. That's fantastic. Okay? Let's go into page 2, which would be paragraph 4.
Oh, we're not gonna underline the carnivorous.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for reminding me. Yes. Very good.
I had already done that.
Good. Carnivorous, herbivorous. Thank you for catching my mistake. That's awesome.
Do we have to do carnivorous equal meat?
Yes, and you're going to go do that. But we need to make sure we underline the sentence before the word, the one that contains the word, and the sentence after the word. Now here, the sentence after carnivorous is actually going to take us into herbivorous, which is not going to be it. But we're going to keep underlining. Tell me, just kind of give me a hint here. What are my context clues on what does carnivorous mean and herbivorous? Where do we see that? Yes, Arthur.
The carnivorous dinosaurs eat